Being in a professional role means you have to wear many hats, and you also have to play many different roles. Hi, my name is Matt Pickard, and I am an assistant professor of data and analytics at Northern Illinois University. And this course on Microsoft Excel will provide you competencies that will benefit you in many ways. And you might be in one of many different situations. For instance, you might be preparing for some licensure test, like the CPA. You might be newly licensed and a new accountant, and you might be discovering, whoa, I spend a good chunk of my time in Excel. And you might be an accountant who's discovered you have a skills gap and you need to brush up on Excel. You also might not be an accountant at all. You might be a business professional and you run into accounting tasks that you have to perform. Or you might just be interested in figuring out how to use Excel to make you a better business person. But in general, the one thing I want you to take away from this course is an increased ability to solve problems. Excel is a marvelous tool to be able to solve big, complex problems. And companies nowadays need employees that can solve problems. We live in an information world that is saturated with data. And so you're probably going to run into opportunities to do data analytics. And data analytics requires that you wear many hats. For instance, sometimes you got to put on your thinking cap. And I call this my thinking cap because when there's a tough problem and I got to think critically, my mind starts to get a little warm and I start to get a little sweaty like my head is right now. Other times, you know there's a problem, but you have to go hunting. You got to go digging through your data, you got to understand your data, and you got to understand how you're going to solve this problem using your data. But as you do that, you realize, man, I don't think I'm looking at this the right way. I need to think about this different. So you got to put on your creative hat. And you got to think, how do I represent this data differently? Or how do I solve this problem in a different way so that I can get to the solution that I need? But then there's times when you go to interpret your results, you got to put on what I call your spectator hat. Your spectator hat is your business knowledge that you have because you're an accountant or in some other field. You have experience and you know when the solution you found in your data makes sense. But even better, you know by looking at the analysis you performed how to interpret that and what it means. And you can't do that unless you have this general knowledge, this contextual knowledge that you've spent years perhaps gaining. So grab your favorite hat. Thank you for participating in this course, and let's get started.